And I get to end the show with a gentleman that has been our guest and our friend for many, many years, almost since we started the show. And I just cannot tell you how much I enjoy talking to Gerald Celente, founder of the Trends Research Institute. You can go out to TrendsResearch.com. There's the TrendsJournal that he publishes. It is a wonderful, wonderful document. You see Gerald Celente everywhere. He is one of the most accurate and most sought forecasters around, and it's very nice to have you on board. Hi, Gerald. Good to have you back.
Thank you so much for the kind words.
Well, it's always fun, and we're going to talk about things that this should wind everybody up on our topics now. Let's start with our number one topic, and that is your perspective on what's going on. And let's start with, say, the Ukraine and with Argentina and with other countries. As far as revolutions go, do you see a world revolution brewing out there?
If you go back to our top trends for 2013,
right,
the top one was war.
Right.
And that's what you're seeing unwinding in front of our face. It's there for everyone to look at, and it's a wake-up call. And the wake-up call is this. Let's take a trip. Here we go. We got Turkey.
Right.
The lira now, the Turkish lira is at an all-time low. And what's going on there? Well, there's destabilization. It's a civil war, basically. And then you go over to, right next door, Syria. There is a civil war. And then go next door to that, Libya. Oh, you remember that time-limited, scope-limited kinetic action, right?
Yeah, that we were supposed to have won.
Yeah, the Nobel Peace Prize winner.
Exactly.
Yeah. The one that that everybody likes, according to the latest poll. They must have liked him for that one. Yeah, that's a piece of prize for you. And then we go down to North Africa. You go down to Mali, and then you move over to Central Africa, take a trip to the Sudan, and if you don't like that, go to Somalia. Move back up, look what's going on in Yemen. Oh, by the way, the Nobel Peace Prize winner who's, quote, I'm really good at killing people, just killed 7 in Yemen yesterday with a drone strike.
Wasn't that a shameful quote, Gerald?
That is a disgusting quote, and to me, it should be in national news, and he should be held accountable for that. This is not the Founding Fathers' country that I believe in, that anyone would speak such language. Those are words of a psychopath, by the way. And I'm not making that up. Anybody could look up the definition, and you could make it up, and you could determine it for yourself.
I'm really good at killing people. I can't even. It was, and he said it with a smile, and it was so offhanded, and he thought that would be funny. You could see he genuinely thought he was being clever.
Exactly what I'm saying. I don't know what he thought. All I know are the words, and those words being uttered by any human being is really a sick statement.
And we wonder why Americans are afraid of our government when you have a president that says things like that.
And does anybody get the hint? All they keep talking about is terrorism. Oh, we got to protect against terrorism. Hey, Jocko, you just killed a bunch of people over there in a foreign country. How about calling it getting even? Can you handle that? Or how about what's going on in Afghanistan? Oh, how about what you did in Iraq? Oh, they don't like us because they hate our freedom and liberty. Save it for the kids. And again, I wrote about this before it happened. I warned about this in my books, Trends 2000. I warned about it in the TrendsJournal several years before the first terror strike.
And Gerald, where are the radicals? Where are the leftists? Where are the socialists? Where are the bleeding heart liberals? Where are the communists? Where are they saying, America and this president, you are a more vicious president than we have had, and you're openly vicious about it, and you're using technology in ways that maybe we've used it before like this, but this is now open, and no wonder people around the world are afraid of America. And there's a big difference between being afraid and respecting somebody. They're afraid of America. I would be afraid of America.
Well, again, you look at as we keep going around the world. As I said, you see what's going on in Iraq now. It's destabilized. Afghanistan's not getting any better. It's only getting much worse. And then again, you keep going around. Bahrain, they never talk about what's going on in Bahrain. There's a civil war going on over there. Most of the population Shia. It's controlled by Sunnis, and they have that Shia-Sunni thing going on. But nobody talks about it because the Fifth Fleet is based there. and the emir's a good guy.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have the destabilization going on to the other dictator. Oh, a king. How could I forget? Once upon a time, a prince kissed a frog or something like that, and they made a king. Or did the English do it? I forget. But anyway, the king of Saudi Arabia, half the country hates him over there, too. And they have some serious poverty problems. And then you move over and you keep going around and you see what's going on in Greece. It's only worse. Spain, 27% unemployment. Italy, high unemployment, pitchfork movements going on all the time, all over the country. Portugal, I mentioned Spain. Spain, they're passing laws where it's impossible now to virtually protest. The Ukraine, you could see what's going on. It's right out there in the streets in front of everybody. Then you go over to, they never talk about Cambodia. The people are revolting in Cambodia. They're tired of working for, $61, $71 a month. But, of course, the dictatorship that's been in power there for over 10 years, 3 decades rather, they put it down. But there's one rising in Bangladesh. Then you take a look at India. They just had an election, the Working Man's Party, out of the Common Man's Party, out of nowhere, won against corruption. You go around the world, you can see Argentina, it's in the news today, and then, of course, what's going on in Brazil, protests going on continually over there as well. So you go around the world, and it's one country. Oh, I forgot Thailand. How could I forget that one? The people have only been out in the streets now for over a month, and they're closing down ministries and buildings, government buildings, in protest of the ruling government.
So where is stability in the world right now, Gerald?
Norway.
That's funny. Yeah, everybody pile into the Norwegian currency, the krona.
Yeah, and again, you look around. Oh, France is, what's going on over there as well. Oh, Mali, of course, the French, they can't go over the French Sudan trip, so they're back in Mali over there, and they're pushing more troops into Central Africa. So, and you're looking at the unemployment rate and recession deepening over there as well. So you have destabilization across most of Europe, with the exception of a few countries. And it's only getting much, much worse.
Is this
I forgot the other one. How could I forget this one? The Abe over there in Japan. He goes over and visits the shrine that they really don't like, because there are a lot of so-called war criminals buried there, and the South Korea, the Koreans, both North and South, can't stand this, and neither do the Chinese. But he went there. And there also, of course, there's the disputes going on in the East China Sea, and with the disputes going on in the South China Sea with the Philippines and Vietnam, and of course China. So now you have Abe at the meeting in Davos, warning the world, as though he's reading the TrendsJournal, that this looks like before World War II, and he's urging the people at Davos meeting to give them support against China for the aggression going on in China in the East China Sea. The part of the story that they left out in these disputed islands is that Japan said they were private islands and they bought them from this guy, and now they own them. So the moral of the story, by the way, going back to the beginning, what we talked about with Obama with his atrocious statement, I'm really good at killing people, the founding fathers were against foreign entanglements. So who are these people that call themselves politicians to get us involved in these foreign entanglements? Why are they changing everything that this country was founded upon? Who are they? You know who they are? Every election they call themselves public servants. Well, get it in their head. You are here to serve us. They always play that line when they're running for re-election. Get it in their head. You're a public servant. No, this is not your duty to take us to war. We, the people, are the ones that go fight them. We're the ones that pay for them. We're the ones that should decide whether or not we go to war, not you, flunky.
Gerald, let me ask you this: are the revolutions that are going on around the world right now, of which you've outlined some of the major ones, Is it because possibly the U.S. is weaker and people perceive the U.S. as being weaker? Up until this point, it's been a constant push-pull, east-west, good, bad, communist, capitalist, and now all of a sudden the U.S. isn't playing its part and it's perceived as being weak?
Not at all. You know, my statement as being a Bronx guy by birth and growing up there for part of my life is that when people lose everything and have nothing left to lose, they lose it. And people are losing it. You know, look what's going on in this country. You know, these people at Davos talking about the rich and the billionaires and this and that. And you see the numbers. I'm not making them up. 85 billionaires around the world have more money than half the world's population. This has never happened before, except maybe back in the medieval days. So what you're looking at, you know, I'm up here in the Northeast, and I know what it is. You know, I mean, I wasn't born with a silver spoon in my mouth. There are people that can't afford to heat their homes. You have elderly people, they can't pay their school tax, can't pay their property tax. They're throwing them out of their homes. I mean, these are real things going on. Oh, we got to break away now. Wait, something just happened with Justin Bieber. I'm not making that up. That happened yesterday on MSNBC with Andrea Mitchell.
I saw that. That was shameful.
Shameful, and this is what I'm saying. There's three worlds. There's the political world, there's the media world, and there's the real world. And the political world and the media world are worlds away from the real world. They don't know what it feels like.
You know, the good news in this whole thing is that the disparity between rich and poor is only a very temporary disparity. I look at it a little philosophically when it comes to finance and economics. Is people's wealth are predicated upon what for the most part, what their equities are worth, and the equities are only worth what people are willing to bid. So mega wealth can be adjusted to relatively minor wealth in a very short period of time. It is not as though that wealth is a guaranteed wealth. That's the only comfort I take from the disparity right now. That it has always been temporary. Now, temporary could last days, weeks, months, years. I got that, but it is temporary.
Yeah, it's temporary. But you asked this question about the United States' weakness, and again, to me, the last man, the real man that was a president, and again, Kennedy was assassinated. I don't know what his legacy would have been. Is Dwight D. Eisenhower?
Right, agreed.
This is a 5-star general, the supreme commander of the Allied forces.
Yep. And
a 2-term president.
A hero's hero.
A hero's hero. He knew what war was, and there were no major wars under Eisenhower. And his famous Cross of Iron speech, as he ends the Korean War, because he knew it was a fruitless war, didn't want to go on with it.
Right.
Every gun that is made, every warship launched, every rocket fires, signals in the final sense a theft from those who hunger and are not fed, those who are cold and not clothed. The world in arms is not spending money alone. It's spending the sweat of its laborers, the genius of scientists, the hope of the children. Now, that's in 1953, the Cross of Iron speech.
Brilliant.
And then his famous farewell address in 1960, where he says, quote, "The military-industrial complex would cause military spending to be driven not by national security needs, but by a network of weapons makers, lobbyists, and elected officials."
And we have that right now.
You got it. Now, to put this into context, he makes a speech in 1960. The GDP of the United States in those days was roughly $520 billion. China was $61 billion.
Right.
Today, thanks to the military and cyber-industrial complex, we, of course, have a GDP that's at about $15 trillion plus.
Right.
China is half of that now.
Absolutely. And we gave China, we allowed that with our trade policies. We gave them military technology. And I have nothing against China or the Chinese people, but we put them in the position they are right now.
Not we.
Well, our government put them in that position.
Our government.
Yes.
The sellouts.
Yes.
The traitors to the America. The Bill Clintons. The all of them. The Carters. All of them. The Bushes. People forget that China joined the World Trade Organization, the WTO, because they weren't paying attention to this 3 weeks after 9/11. So never made the news.
That's right.
And they didn't only sell out our jobs, as you point out, they sold out our technology. They couldn't make this stuff without our brain power. These people are traitors to the country. And again, anyone that says to me, that would say to me, Mr. Celente, you're full of baloney. We have every right to go into Iraq, into Afghanistan, and Syria, and all these other countries. I would say to them, listen up, Junior. You should have go and tell that to George Washington as he was giving it after his farewell address and said not to go into foreign entanglements. Could you imagine Bush, Obama, Clinton, any of them going to Carter, going to George Washington after his address and say, you know, George, I think you're full of it.
No, I can't. One last thing before I lose you, my friend, and that is you're talking about March economic madness. What do you mean by that?
What we said is it looks as maybe happening before we made this forecast, is that they're not going to be able to taper. You're seeing all of the money flushing out of the emerging markets. The emerging markets became hot because of all of the hot money that flew out because of tapering. You're seeing interest rates rising in China. We had said when we made this forecast that we were going to have the panic was going to hit by economic March madness by March. The way the stock market's ending up around the world, it may happen sooner. They cannot sustain the tapering. China cannot sustain high interest rates. What we said is that after this tapering is tried, and again, if there is no if nothing happens between now and the next Fed meeting and they don't taper, we expect them to taper. After they taper, you're going to see panic on the streets. It's already happening. We believe they're going to come up with another round of stimulus.
And they're going to call it something else because there's no way they can call it more quantitative easing. They're not going to say we've reversed the taper. They'll find some other way to inject money into the system.
You got it. They'll call it maybe Yellenomics, because they got to, they'll make up some stupid word for it. And the Chinese are in the same place, by the way.
You bet. Their credit system is there's so many cross guarantees and cross collateralizations in China. China wants to punish a very small portion of their financial community. I don't know that China has even the slightest clue how to punish a portion of a community where everything is cross guaranteed.
You got it. And I love the word they have. This is one of my favorites. This white shoe boy language, it's universal.
Yep.
Shadow banking.
I love it.
Isn't that nice? We used to call them loan sharks when I was a kid. and now it's estimated that between 30 to 50% of China's GDP, the money coming through it, is going through these shadow banks.
Yeah, and these are small shopkeepers that have taken loans for cash flow. Those small shopkeepers are responsible for employment. They're responsible for production. They have no cash to meet their payroll. The amount of money they've invested in this shadow banking system, they can't be paid back because the people they've invested it with aren't getting paid back. It's no different than 2008 here in the United States. No different.
You got it. It's another Ponzi scheme. And you remember, China did all this after the 2008.
Yeah, I hate to go too far back in financial history here, but fractional reserve banking is a creation of central banks. And fractional reserve banking means that there's $1 in and there's $10 created. And at some point in time, those $10 have to be lent over and over and over just to pay the interest on the debt. And that's where we are now, that we're feeding more money into the system just to service the debt. And it can't exist. And once debt, one thing about life is assets are transient in value. Debt is debt until you tell somebody you're not paying it. You owe that money. That doesn't change.
That's right. And again, to me, people talk about the Volcker Act, and how about going back to the Glass-Steagall Act?
Oh, sure.
You don't have to write another word. You don't have to put a Congress together for that one. Oh, here's a note that I liked. You said about where are all those liberals and all those people? How come they're not, with Obama?
Right.
Here. The Obama administration has launched more than 390 drone strikes since 2009. That's 8 times as many that were launched in the entire Bush administration. The man that's really good at killing people, he's over 2,400 killed. When do you call somebody a mass murderer? Well, we're going to wait. I think when it gets to 2,533.
Yeah, I'm all for winning a war. I'm all for killing our enemies. I got
war.
that.
Unless we're attacked, The military, again, I stand by the Founding Fathers. I stand by the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. And these people have taken it away from us, and it goes back to what Eisenhower warned about.
You're right on the money, my friend. Gerald Celente, I can't tell you how much I just wish you'd learn to open up on this show and share your feelings. Keeping this inside must be crushing.
Well, I love America, and I want this country to restore it to its greatness. And who are these people to take it away from us?
You do, my friend, and nobody expresses it better than you. Let me tell people to go out to Trends Research, TrendsResearch.com, GeraldCelente.com. Go out and take a look at the great publications and the work that Gerald does. It is phenomenal. And, my friend, you put your finger on the pulse of the problems that are facing the world right now. I wish folks in Washington would pick up the phone and dial you more often.
Now, they're too caught in their club, which we call the mob.
Yeah.
And that's all they are. They're not serving the people. They're serving the special interests to pay their way.
Gerald, God bless you, my friend. Have a great weekend, and we're looking forward to having you back ASAP.
Thanks so much for having me, Dan.